Hi everybody, welcome to our daily agenda. Today is Friday, May 21st. So for today, ladies and gentlemen, we are evens, just as a reminder. We are continuing on with our types of poetry. Today is our last day. We are focusing on slam poetry. So in your notebooks, I do want to make a point to remind you in your types of poetry notebook, you should have all of them more or less filled out. I've been filling them out with you guys. Except that bottom one for 1, 2, 5, 6, and 3, 4. Remember, you're supposed to have the questions or your patterns. So yesterday we did free verse. Today is going to be our last one. We're doing slam poetry. So you guys know exactly what we're doing in class. So we're heading off, taking our little virtual vacation. We've been to the UK, we've been to Japan, a little bit to France, and then we came back to the US. And then today, ladies and gentlemen, we are fully in the US. Slam poetry originated in, we'll get to that in just a second, actually. All right, so loading up the Prezi so you guys can see it. So the origin of slam poetry, it actually started in the 1980s. It's about 40 years ago. By this construction worker named Mark Kelly Smith in Chicago, Illinois. He wanted to bring back poetry to the people because he thought poetry was stuffy, it was filled with too many rules, it didn't really just speak to the soul of people. And while we have free verse poetry, he felt that it wasn't strong enough to really reach people. So what he did is he wanted to reach people. So he created a weekly poetry event, the Poetry Slam, where anyone can participate, where they essentially are reciting these poems and really just feeling their emotions with the poetry. It is inspired by free verse, and we'll take a look and we'll listen to some of them as well. You can actually go to Chicago and visit the first place. I believe it was, I can't remember the name of the place, but you can go and visit it and see where slam poetry was actually created just 40 years ago. It really, however, didn't take off until the 2000s, and we'll take a look at a lot of slam poetries that are really modern, really happening now. Fun fact, before I fully actually go to this slide, slam poetry, they still have an annual slam poetry. Depending on what region you are and where you're at, there is annually competitions for this type of poetry going on all the time. All right, okay, now moving on. Some of the details on slam poetry. Slam poems don't have a structure, ladies and gentlemen. So they are kind of like free verse. Remember, they're inspired by free verse. The author can choose to incorporate different poetry devices. They can choose to have a metaphor, a simile, a hyperbole, whatever devices they want to use, they can use them in their work. So here's the big one. Slam poems are performed through spoken word. It depends on the poem, what necessarily the theme is, but it's really sharing their experience and strongly emphasizing the elements of the poem. Oops. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no. Oh, we went to that part. There you go. Okay. They are performed. So what's required of them? What's required is that you guys are going to put in personification and a tone to the piece. I want to make sure that you guys are accurately using these poetry devices, much like the real poets themselves use them. Okay? And some of the big ideas in slam poetry tend to be things like social issues, the inequality, racism, government, poverty, just giant social issues that are going on around them. And sometimes they're really tiny, so they can be personal events. So it can be a story or incident that happened to you or changed you. They are usually charged by emotions such as love, frustration, sadness. And we will see some of those in our examples today. So what makes a poem slam? A slam poem, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's performed. It can be referred to as spoken word because it is spoken. But what really separates a slam poem from being just spoken word, something you just say out loud, it's the emotions and the poetry devices that you use, ladies and gentlemen, that will kind of drive your poem home. It really connects with your reader because they feel those emotions. We're human. When I change my tone, you guys can hear my emotion. When I'm frustrated, you can hear it. But when I'm having a really good day and I'm super excited to work with you guys, you can hear it in my tone. That's what these poets use. Okay? So that's what makes a slam poem. And that's kind of just what is slam poetry. These are going to be our examples. We have a lot of examples to go through, ladies and gentlemen. Some of them we'll get to, some of them we won't. I just want you guys to hear the different kinds of slam poetry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before actually I end the video, this is our class practice for today. You guys are going to finish that slam. So in our class practice, what you guys are going to do is you are going to choose one of the following prompts. Oh, this is not the right one, but I'll find the right one, no worries. You're going to choose one of the following prompts. So alliteration, metaphor, simile. You're going to choose one of these and you're going to write to the experience that is on the right. So where is somewhere you wished you could go? Where's a place your parents dragged you to? What's a vivid memory you have? I have the directions right here on the right. Behind the mat, so I created an example for you guys, and my prompt was behind the mask. And my literary device that I had to write with was illusion. So behind the mask, I see the invisible particles move. They keep me in the world indoors and away, peeking over and through the mask. And I can add to that emotion. I can add sadness, I can add anger, I can add frustration. Because this illusion, I'm alluding to, when I say behind the mask, I'm alluding to the COVID-19 pandemic, something that happened and is still happening in our world. So that's kind of really what slam poetry does. Slam poetry requires you, ladies and gentlemen, to get kind of personal with what you write a little bit. It requires you to have those emotions. All right, so we're going to practice just a little bit of it today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, that is going to be it. That's what we're doing for today's Friday. Taking it a little bit easy. We've had a rough week, tough week, but you guys have made it through, so nice job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. As always, if you have questions for me, questions for Ms. Arroyo, questions for Ms. Reyes, let us know. We'll help you guys out. Other than that, I'll see you guys in class.